You're not going to believe this, but Chrisean Rock might actually be on the run right now. We're not talking about drama or beef or another wild social media moment. We're talking about serious legal allegations that could land her behind bars. Word on the street is that she's been involved in financial schemes, and the person who put her up to it, her 19-year-old boyfriend, Top Hat 33K. The craziest part, there are actual receipts circulating online right now. Text messages that lay out this entire operation in detail. And if that wasn't enough, she's also being accused of trying to set up Zeus Network CEO Lemmy in a dangerous situation. The walls might be closing in faster than anyone expected. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back a couple of weeks. About 2 weeks ago, there was this live stream that seemed completely random at the time. 3 was on live talking about how people needed to stop trolling Chrisean. Just casual conversation, nothing unusual. He seemed relaxed, almost protective in a normal boyfriend kind of way. Then Chrisean joined the live toward the end and mentioned something that immediately changed the entire vibe. She said she was at the bank.
I top on, bro. I don't got shit to say. Like, they keep saying shit about you, though, on Bees.
I'm at the bank.
Why would you say that, bro?
Well, they need to get off your top.
The moment those words left her mouth, you could feel the energy shift through the screen. 3's whole demeanor changed. He got visibly upset, told her to stop sharing her location, then abruptly ended the live stream. At the time, people thought he was just being overprotective or paranoid about fans showing up. Nobody really understood why he was so worked up over her being at a bank. Some people even clowned him in the comments for being too controlling. But now we know exactly why he panicked. According to these allegations, Chrisean was at that bank involved in questionable financial activity, and 3 knew exactly what she was doing. That's why he freaked out when she went live and announced where she was. He wasn't protecting her from fans. He wasn't being controlling. He was trying to protect her from getting caught. And what happened next would reveal just how deep this really goes. The leaked text messages that have been making rounds online are absolutely wild. Someone was having a full conversation about Chrisean being involved in financial schemes, and the details are specific. One person wrote that they got Rock handling transactions, and because she's a celebrity, things go through every time without much scrutiny. Banks apparently don't question famous people the same way they question regular folks. The other person asked if she knew what she was getting into. The response? Yes, she absolutely knew. They said Chrisean came to their friend trying to get some money, and they told their boy to line it up. The way they were talking about it, this wasn't some random thing. This was planned. This was coordinated. Then it gets even messier. The person explained that this happened before 3 came home, and Chrisean told them she was trying to get money and access to certain financial tools so she could get a car and an apartment. She had specific goals in mind, she knew what she needed, and she knew what she was willing to do to get it. The conversation also mentioned something interesting. Chrisean was supposed to be on the new season of Baddies, but she got fired and fumbled a $200K bag. Think about that for a second. $200,000 just gone. That might explain why she was so desperate for cash. When you lose that kind of opportunity, you start looking for other ways to make money. But that wasn't even the worst part of these messages. The first person was extremely frustrated because Chrisean was on livestream at the bank while involved in a $15,000 transaction. $15,000. Being on live while doing something questionable is absolutely reckless. It's the kind of move that makes everyone around you nervous because you're drawing attention to something that needs to stay quiet. The second person told the first to intervene because if Rock got arrested, she would give up information about everybody involved. They even said people were already calling her an informant on T-pages. That's a serious accusation in certain circles. Once people start calling you that, it becomes hard to operate because nobody trusts you anymore. Then the first person dropped another bomb. Chrisean was texting them, worried that she would get caught for the other transactions she'd been involved in. Other transactions. Meaning this wasn't a one-time thing, this was a pattern of behavior that had been going on for a while. The person said they were going to block her to avoid getting caught up in the mess. They had already warned 3 about the risks. But here's where it gets even crazier. They confirmed that police were actually at the bank, but Chrisean and her friend had already left after being told to go. So law enforcement was already on the scene, asking questions, and she managed to slip out before anything went down. The person tried to contact 3, but he was angry and wouldn't answer. You can imagine the panic. Your girlfriend is out there potentially catching a case, police are showing up, and she was just on livestream announcing her location to thousands of people. Then they expressed frustration, saying Rock wasn't even concerned about the 15 grand. She was instead focused on other things and dealing with personal struggles. If any of this is true, this situation is beyond chaotic, but the legal consequences could be even worse than anyone realizes. Let's talk about what this actually means, because this isn't just online gossip anymore. If Chrisean was really doing what these messages claim, she could be facing serious time. In California, financial crimes are taken extremely seriously. The state doesn't play around when it comes to people manipulating the banking system. When someone knowingly gets involved in fraudulent transactions with the intent to deceive or take money, that's a criminal offense. The key word here is knowingly. Prosecutors have to prove that the person knew what they were doing was wrong and still went through with it anyway. That's the difference between making a mistake and committing a crime. According to those leaked messages, Chrisean knew exactly what was happening. That knowledge is what could get her into serious legal trouble. These types of charges in California can go either way depending on the circumstances. If it's a small amount or a first-time situation, it might be treated as a lesser offense, which carries up to 1 year in county jail and fines up to $1,000. That's already serious, but it's the lighter end of the spectrum. But if the amount is significant, usually anything over $950, or if it looks like part of a pattern, the state can charge it as a serious felony. And we're talking about $15,000 here. That's well over the threshold. A conviction like that can mean 16 months to 3 years in state prison, plus fines up to $10,000. And that's just for the financial crimes themselves. If other elements are involved, like using false identities or fraudulent credit tools, that's a whole separate charge that can add even more time. Each additional charge stacks on top of the others. This isn't something that just goes away with community service or probation. This is the kind of thing that can completely derail someone's life and put them behind bars for years. And here's the thing that makes prosecutors pay even more attention. A pattern of behavior. This isn't the first time Chrisean has been accused of shady financial moves. Just 2 weeks before these allegations came out, she was already being dragged into another banking situation online. People were accusing her of being connected to schemes where people promise to help fans financially, then either demand a cut of the money or take advantage of the situation once they have access. It's a common scam, but it's shocking when a celebrity's name gets attached to it. Fans were panicking online, warning each other to stay away. Chrisean's name kept popping up in connection with these suspicious money moves. People were posting screenshots, sharing warnings, telling their friends not to fall for it. When that many people are saying the same thing, it's hard to ignore. So this isn't just one isolated incident. There's a pattern forming here, and that pattern is what makes prosecutors pay attention. When someone keeps getting accused of the same type of questionable activity, it starts to look less like a mistake and more like intentional behavior. It shows a willingness to keep doing the same thing even after being called out publicly. And if she's already on law enforcement's radar from the previous accusations, getting caught up in a new case would be even more damaging. Prosecutors love patterns. They use them to show intent and to argue for harsher sentences. But wait, because there's another layer to this that makes everything even messier. Reports say Chrisean wasn't at the bank alone. She was there with someone named Marsh, and according to the streets, they both knew exactly what was going down. This wasn't a situation where one person was clueless and the other was running the show. They were both in on it. Everything was all laughs and confidence until the bank workers started acting suspicious. You know that energy when employees start whispering to each other, moving differently, giving off that something's not right vibe? When they start making phone calls in hushed tones and looking at their computer screens a little too long? That's when you know something's about to go down. The second Chrisean and Marsh picked up on that shift, they didn't wait around to explain anything. They just left. No questions asked, no trying to smooth things over, just straight up dipped. That kind of behavior is exactly what makes someone look guilty, and if Marsh was involved too, that means multiple people could be facing charges. You don't run from a bank unless you know you did something wrong. 3 could also be in trouble since the messages suggest he was coordinating the whole operation. If prosecutors can prove he was directing Chrisean to get involved in these schemes, he could be charged with conspiracy, which carries its own set of penalties. Conspiracy charges are serious because they show you were planning and organizing criminal activity, not just participating in it. The more people involved, the messier this gets. And here's why. When multiple people are facing charges, somebody usually flips, somebody decides they don't want to take the full weight, and they start cooperating with prosecutors. That's when the whole operation falls apart. The leaked text messages revealed something that nobody saw coming, and it takes this whole situation to another level. Chrisean tried to set up Zeus Network CEO Lemmy in a potentially dangerous situation. Yes, you heard that right. This is on top of the ongoing feud they've been having for months. When you think it can't get more complicated, it does. Chrisean has been blasting Zeus publicly for a while now, saying the network owes her $170,000 and that they only paid her $30,000 out of the $200 she was supposed to get. That's a huge discrepancy. She's been vocal about feeling cheated and disrespected by the network that made her famous. She accused Lemmy of being foul, weak, and engaging in demonic behavior, claiming he intentionally set her up to fail. She even said someone went through her personal belongings and took her ID, making her feel betrayed and unsafe. Those are serious accusations to make publicly, and they show just how much animosity exists between them. Lemmy responded by using scripture and telling her that her words and actions seemed sinister and came from a place of bitterness rather than love. He didn't get defensive or hostile. He took the spiritual route, which is interesting considering how heated the situation was. He encouraged her to seek healing and mental health support and focus on her son. He was basically saying she needs help, not a check. Then he formally announced he was done working with her. He said her repeated displays of manipulation, deceit, and ingratitude made any professional relationship impossible. He acknowledged her talent, which was a respectful touch, but stressed that character and integrity are what create longevity, and her actions have consistently shown otherwise. He was basically saying talent isn't enough if you can't act right. Now, if it's actually true that she also tried to put him in harm's way, Lemmy has even more reason to refuse paying her anything. In fact, he could take legal action against her. Instead of Chrisean getting money from Zeus, she could end up owing him. Imagine going from demanding $170K to potentially owing money and facing charges. That's a complete reversal. These allegations combined with the financial accusations paint a picture of someone who's willing to cross serious legal lines, and that's not going to play well in any courtroom. Judges and juries look at the whole person, the whole pattern of behavior. When they see someone involved in multiple schemes and conflicts, it doesn't help the case. So where does this leave Chrisean Rock right now? Let's break down everything that's happened. She's lost her spot on Baddies, which was her main source of income and exposure. She fumbled a $200K opportunity that most people would never even get close to. She burned her bridge with Zeus Network, which means no more reality TV checks from them. Now she's caught up in schemes that involve multiple people who could all turn on each other the second things get too hot. When everyone's facing charges, loyalty goes out the window. People start thinking about themselves and their own freedom. The text messages suggest people were already worried she'd cooperate with authorities if she got arrested. They were calling her an informant before anything even happened. Trust is low and loyalty is even lower. That's a dangerous position to be in when you're potentially facing criminal charges. And then there's 3, her 19-year-old boyfriend who orchestrated this whole thing, according to the messages. That's the part that makes people wonder. Was this his plan all along when he started dating her? Did he see an opportunity to use her celebrity status because financial institutions would be less suspicious of someone famous? Famous people can walk into banks and do transactions that would raise red flags for regular people. Or did she willingly get involved knowing the risks? Did she look at her situation, losing $200K from Baddies, beefing with Zeus, and decide she needed money fast no matter how she got it? That's the question that only she can answer. Either way, the consequences are stacking up fast. This isn't the kind of situation where you just apologize on Instagram and move on. This is an influencer drama that blows over in a week. This is serious legal territory. Once law enforcement gets involved, everything changes. Your whole life can get turned upside down. The real question now is how far this has actually gone, and whether Chrisean even realizes just how deep the trouble could get. Does she understand that she could be facing years in prison? Does she understand that a felony conviction changes your life forever? Does she have a lawyer? Is she cooperating? Is she running? Because from where everyone's standing, it looks like things are about to get a whole lot worse before they get any better. When you have leaked messages, multiple witnesses, police showing up at banks, and a pattern of similar accusations, that's not a good look. That's the kind of evidence prosecutors love to work with. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss any of the celebrity gossip. Thanks for watching.